What's up guys, JayzTwoCents here, and what you see right here is the second form of the Ryzen 2700X system I built the other day that we did the air conditioning test on. Remember I said the reason why I built that was because we're gonna test the new RTX cards on the Ryzen platform as well as Intel so that you guys can get a, apples to oranges experience, I guess, because of course there are people that reside on both sides of that fence. I ended up moving it over to the EVGA DG77 case because, I used Gorilla Glass or Gorilla Tape on the plexiglass for the Fractal Design Define S, and residue stuck to it. And then in the process of trying to get it off, I scratched the glass or the plexi all up. So yeah, I'm shallow and I can't deal with that. Yo, dude, what are you doing?
Shopping for a case for my new build.
What are you looking for?
I want something designed for water cooling.
Fractal Design Define S all the way. Check it out. Plenty of airflow, plenty of open interior for water cooling, radiator support. It even has mounts for your reservoirs.
I don't have enough room for my hard drives.
Okay. Fractal Design R5. Look at all those hard drive cages. And you can fit your radiators and water cooling in here.
No, I got a lot of hard drives, but I also have an EATX motherboard.
Okay, I'm gonna try something here.
Okay.
Bear with me. You might wanna stand clear. Never actually tried this before. Okay. It worked. Fractal Design Define R6. You can fit all your radiators, a crap ton of hard drives, and it fits EATX.
Dude, this is perfect.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Something else I did for the 2700X was I also used our Celsius S36 triple 120mm fan with some EK Vardar RGB fans, which is making all the RGB puke go on in there, just so that we can keep the CPU very cool while we do all of our testing. And so that should be ready to go. We also removed the manual 4 GHz locked clock speed, so hopefully that'll ramp up in the future when we do our testing, but that's besides the point. The reason why this system exists is because I'm asked so much over the last week or two, ever since NVIDIA held its keynote about RTX, about whether or not they should upgrade their systems. I'm getting sent PC part picker lists, and they're mixing and matching components, and they're not compatible. And I know that's because normally PC part picker will tell you if it's compatible or not, but people are also making their own lists, and there's problems. And I want to address this now because I'm trying to avoid people having to deal with wasting their money and have RMA returns or just product returns, and if you've already opened it, and it turns into a nightmare, trust me. So I'm trying to head a lot of that off now. One of the reasons why RTX launch is so important is not just because NVIDIA is launching new graphics cards, but because this is the first time that I can recall in a long time where a new CPU lineup and platform is launching almost parallel with the new graphics cards. And that seems like a very opportune time for many people to upgrade their systems for many reasons. One, when RTX launches, Pascal is still a very, very relevant GPU platform. In fact, we've seen many people say, screw RTX, we're sticking with Pascal, there's no point, et cetera, et cetera. And you cannot deny the power of Pascal. It compels you. The power of Pascal compels you. I went there and we came back. Okay. But obviously when a new graphics card lineup launches, the people that want to early adopt are going to sell their current stuff at a very discounted rate on various platforms like Tom's Hardware or HardOCP, Craigslist, wherever, and you can find some killer deals because they're just trying to make some money back on their bleeding edge purchase of new hardware, which also makes their wallet bleed. So you can find some really good deals that way. Also too, because we have a new Intel launch coming with the Z390 as well as the 9900K. Now all of this is leaked / rumor information, but it's pretty credible at this point. They've also talked about their new notebook lineup for Intel 9th gen. That means you're gonna be able to find some great deals on Z370 stuff as well as 8700Ks, or people upgrading from older hardware like 6700K or 7700K, which are amazing platforms that are still great for gaming, productivity, and general use. So this is a good time for PC building. This time last year, we were making videos about how much right now it sucked building computers, and now this is a great time. RAM prices have come down significantly, not back to where they should be, but they've come down quite a bit. GPU pricing has normalized, and we have new graphics cards coming from NVIDIA and a new lineup coming from Intel. First thing I want to talk about real quick is the 9900K, or the 8-core 16-thread Intel 9th Gen i9 processor is not an X299 CPU. I have seen a few PC part picker lists where people are putting X299 motherboards in there, and then they're just leaving like a manually written spot with, for the 9900K. It is a Z390. It's a mid-series platform, like a slight improvement. It's still the 14 nanometer. They're calling it 14 plus because it's the third iteration of 14 nanometer coming from Intel. And I can see right now people are going to be confused by this because the 900 or the 9900 is something you only saw on X299, or you saw on X99 with like the 6950X, and then the 9 usually would refer to, but usually anything with a 9 in it like that indicates it is an HPDT or a high performance desktop. X99, X299, or an AMD, it would be pretty obvious the X1950X, 1920X is a Threadripper. So people are going to be confused about that. But we're gonna go ahead and move into the topic right now of should you upgrade and is this the time? Well, that ultimately depends on what you currently have and what your computer is being used for and how much time it's taking to do it. Because this question, although the hardware is always changing, and we tackle this topic at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times, I think it's the 3rd time I've done it this year, what has never changed is my answer, and that is, what are you doing with your system? Because here's the reality. Unless your system specs are so far below the minimum requirements of any of the software games that you're playing, it can do anything you want it to do. A Potato PC can render videos. A Potato PC, a Potato? That's Nintendo's new launch. Gosh, I just leaked that one. Great, here we go, Reddit. The Potato PC could render a 4K video, but it might take 20 hours to render a 5-minute video. So the question is your computer doing what you want it to do as fast as you want it to do it? And if the answer is no, then there is your bottom line, black or white, yes or no answer for you. But what you should upgrade to, that's the harder part, right? When it comes to gamers, and that seems to be a huge focus of people because, are you ready for this? Building a great gaming PC more often than not makes a great workstation PC. Now when it comes to gamers, it is extremely hard to deny the value and performance you get out of Ryzen. We're accustomed to prior to the launch of Ryzen of saying AMD is a great value, but not necessarily the greatest performance, right? We're talking about the FX platform because you could get an FX 8320 or an 8350, then they upgraded it a little bit later to the 8370, and then you could say it's a great value, but it's a dead-end piece of hardware. It has no upgrade path, and its performance is, well, lackluster at best, depending on the GPU that you use with it. Now you get great value in the high performance arena, which is something AMD has made a huge splash in the market. And as much as you may be the biggest Intel fanboy in the world, and people would accuse me of being such, and we have Intel systems around here as much as anyone else, you cannot deny that Intel has changed its entire roadmap because of Ryzen. Just 2 years ago, Intel would tell you that a 6-core, 12-thread mainstream CPU wasn't possible because of the package size, the 14 nanometer, the focus temperature, and just the requirements of the package. It had to go to HPDT, it had to go on X99, it had to go on the big die. Fast forward now 2 years, we have the 9900K coming, which is an 8-core, 16-thread, 14 nanometer mainstream processor that is going to be available simply because AMD took the more core, more threads approach and a very improved IPC over FX, which made Intel realize like, hey, the audience realizes we've been lying to them all along. Very rarely does anyone need X299, and very rarely does anyone need X399 or Threadripper or any of that stuff. If you are like us, we have 2 main editing rigs in this studio. One is an X299 7960X, and the other one is a 1920X Threadripper, which I should really just put the 1950X in there, but I digress. Both of those are amazing at what they do in rendering videos extremely quickly. Both of us can render 4K videos in about real time. That is important for us. But if you're just an average consumer that makes videos for fun and you do some live streaming and stuff, the added cost of going to that platform, which is now in the more than $1,000 for CPU and motherboard probably isn't gonna make much sense. And going with something like a 2700X 8-core 16 thread, or even an 1800X 8-core 16 thread with 16 gigabytes of RAM will get the job done very, very efficiently, and you're not gonna be paying literally out the ass for that platform. And all of this can apply to GPUs as well. Are the games that you're playing, are you playing them at the resolution you want, at the FPS that you want? But before you do that, there's something you need to take in mind. Have you thought about your panel lately? You know, your panel has the final say in what your gaming experience is. Is your panel causing input lag because you're running a 1080p 60 Hertz non-FreeSync or non-G-Sync panel that has a slow response time, and your GPU and your CPU are waiting for the panel to be ready for the next frame, which is then causing your inputs to fall behind the frames that are currently being drawn? That's input lag, by the way. Then your panel is probably what's ready to be upgraded. Because if you are pushing greater than the refresh rate of your panel with your GPU, then it's time to buy a higher refresh rate panel rather than upgrading anything inside of your tower. Now this also works as a system like I just said. So if you are one of those people that have a high refresh rate panel, available up to 240 Hertz now by ViewSonic, I believe it is, 240 Hertz esports like CSGO or whatever, high refresh rate gaming, if you have a panel that can push those types of frames, but your system is nowhere close to even be able to utilize that level of FPS, then it's probably gonna be time to upgrade your system as well. Now, something to keep in mind is that Intel does edge out AMD when it comes to max frame rates. But there's also the other side of that coin when it comes to FPS, where if you're gaming at 4K and not 1080p or 1440p, and all you care about is 4K, everything turned on, and 60 FPS, then you can usually get away with a very high-end graphics card and a mid-range CPU because you are asking way more of your graphics card to handle all of that post-processing, and your CPU has very little to do with the average FPS at that point. Then you can get away with probably holding off on your CPU and spending your money and upgrading your GPU. But this video, guys, it's just food for thought. This was not a video designed to answer your question. It's designed to give you back some questions that might help you determine what is right for you in the future. It's the way I've always approached this question, and it's the way that I always will. Now, obviously, you guys don't know whether or not RTX is worth it yet. None of us do, because we are still waiting on performance figures, which we will be giving you. And that's one of the reasons why this system exists, is because I insist now, because this is the first GPU launch from NVIDIA that is during a time when there are two very relevant CPU platforms to consider. So we're gonna be doing it, like I said, on both Ryzen and on Intel, and we're gonna see just how much performance variance there is there, because there are obviously AMD fanboys, Intel fanboys, and then there are those that reside in the middle that would consider either platform depending on the performance that they provide. Anyway, guys, we're gonna go. Thanks for watching. If there's anything you would like to contribute to this conversation, please comment in the comments down below, or take the discussion over to Twitter at JayzTwoCents. And don't forget, speaking of GPUs, we are giving away a graphics card at the end of this month, where you, the winner, get to choose which card you want from our inventory of graphics cards. But disclosure, RTX is not a part of that. Obviously, we need those cards around here for future testing. Nice try. I saw some of you saying I would totally get a 2080 Ti, and that's not on the list. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. And Phil, I gotta go downstairs, so I'm gonna take the elevator, and you can handle this while I'm going. So, all right, guys, see you in the next one.